Okay, now we're going to work on the next row, row 2. So we've already finished this pink row here. Now we're going to go up to row 2, the black row, and we're going to be headed in this direction with our stitches. However, we will be crocheting right to left, which is a little confusing. You got to remember you're headed in this way even though you're crocheting in the opposite direction, because we're going to turn. Right now it's headed in the right direction, but in a minute we're going to flip it over. So first thing I need to do is chain 3, because that's the counts as the first part of a DC2 together. So I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it. So like I said, we're following the pattern this way, but we're crocheting the other way. So I'm going to go ahead and do a DC in the next chain, or actually the next, yeah, it's a chain 1 space there. I'm going to actually probably go ahead and just go right into the chain just like you would on the foundation chain to hold it in place a little better. Okay, go ahead and do a double crochet. Alright, then now we have our first cluster. So the cluster is a stitch that is sort of like a double crochet 2 together, except it's all joined at the bottom as well as the top. It's done in a very similar way, but instead of going across several chains, you do all the stitches into the same stitch. So we do the same thing where we yarn over, and we're going to do 3, because there's 1, 2, 3 here. We're going to do 3 bottoms of the double crochet stitch, all into this same double crochet here at the top of this double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a loop, yarn over 2. So remember, we're going to, since it's three of those stitches, we're going to have 4 loops at the top. So I'm going to yarn over again, go back into the same top stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. One more time, yarn over, same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now I have 4 on the hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4 of these. So you can see it looks pretty similar to the diagram here, because you've got those 3 stitches joined at the bottom and the top. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a cluster in the top of the next double crochet. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to yarn over, and just like we did before, we're going to do the bottoms of the 3 double crochets and then pull together at the top. So I'm going to insert my hook into the top of this double crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over again, insert the hook, same spot, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And this is the last one, yarn over, insert in the same spot, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I have 4 loops on my hook, yarn over one last time, pull through all 4. Okay, so then we move on to an increase. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. Remember I told you before that the bar with the line on the top and the line through the middle, that stands for double crochet. And there's 5 of these bars, so we're going to do 5 of them, all in the same stitch, and it's going to be not the first chain 1 space and not in the double crochet, but in the chain 1 in the middle of the V stitch. Alright, so I'm going to yarn over, and these are going to be full-blown double crochets, and so we're going to do it all over here. And in fact, I'm just going to go over the top of the chain 1 space this time. So I'm going to do 1, pull out some yarn here, 2, same spot. Remember, an increase is doing a bunch of stitches in the same spot. 3, 4, and 5. So you can see I have increased all across here 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then we're going to do a cluster, and we're going to skip over the double crochet that's in the V-stitch area and the next chain there, and then do it into the next double crochet. And here's the cluster here. So I'm going to yarn over. So I'm skipping this one, I'm skipping this, and I'm going to do right here. Insert, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and sit in the same spot, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, one last time, same spot, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. 4 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. Okay, now we've got another chain 1 space and then another cluster in the top of the next double crochet. So I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to start my cluster right here. Pull through 2, yarn over, insert the same spot, pull through 2, and one more time, if I can get a hold of my yarn. Let's see here. Same spot, pull up a loop, but don't pull up too much, okay, and pull through 2. 4 on the hook, pull through all 4. Okay, and there's their second cluster. Alright, so now we're going to do a decrease, and this is only a decrease across 2 stitches. In fact, it's going to be those 2 chains on either side of the double crochet 7 together. But we're just going to do a double crochet 2 together this time. Alright, so it is going to be on either side of this. So these are the 2 chain spaces. It's a little hard to see here since I did this cluster. It's sort of pulling over, but here's your chain space and here's another chain space. So we're going to yarn over, and this is the same thing where we start the bottom of the double crochet. I'm going to yarn over and then we go across to the other side of that double crochet 7 together in the next chain 1 space. Pull through 2. Okay, so now we have 3 on the hook, so this is a double crochet together, so we only want 3. Pull together. See how we've pulled it all nice and tight together. Alright, so then we're going to do a cluster in the next double crochet. So, just like I said, everything all in the same stitch. We do 3 of these bottom parts. Pull out some yarn here. And here's the third one. And then we have 4 on the hook. Pull through all 4. Alright, then we're going to chain 1 again and do a cluster in the next double crochet. So chain 1. Here's the next double crochet here. So we do 1, 2, 3. 4 on the hooks. 4 chains on the hook, pull through all 4, I'm sorry. Then we have another increase over here. You can see this. And this is also a 5 double crochet increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to do it again in that chain 1 space that's in between the V stitch on the bottom row. Alright, so here's that chain 1 between the 2 double crochets. We're going to skip that one. We're going to skip the next double crochet. Let's see. Yeah, and then we're going to go into this chain 1 space here. And we're doing 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there's another increase. Okay, so now we do a cluster, not in the next double crochet or the next chain 1 space, but in the next double crochet. So here's the next double crochet, here's the chain 1 space, this is the double crochet we want to do it in. So it's the cluster, so we're joining bottom and tops. So we do this all on the same stitch. It's 2, and that's 3, and we have 4 loops on the hook, pull through all 4. Okay, then we chain 1 and do a cluster in the next double crochet, so it's the very next double crochet. Chain 1. We're doing it all in the same stitch here. 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on the hook, pull through all 4. Okay, now we do a double crochet 2 together over the chain 1 space here and the top of the double crochet 3 together. Okay, so we do it over the top of this, see, the chain 1 space, we do half of it, and then we do the other half at the top of the double crochet 4 together, or 3 together, 4 if you count the chain. Pull it through. So it's a double crochet 2 together, so we'll only have 3 loops on the hook. Pull through all 3. Now we have row 2 done. So you can see how this is actually a ripple stitch. It's a kind of a complicated ripple stitch, but it is a ripple because it has the bottoms and tops going up and down. Okay, so now we're moving on to row 3. Row 3 is going to be in a different color. I try to color code these rows so that you can tell which row you're at. We've already done the foundation row, row 1. We just finished row 2. Now we're on to row 3. So we're going to chain 3. One, 2, 3, and then I'm going to turn it. Luckily this time we're actually crocheting in the same direction that we're following the pattern. So now we're going to do a double crochet 3 together, and we're going to do it across the top of these 3 stitches, the top of the cluster, the chain 1 space, and the top of the next cluster. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, and we're just starting the bottoms of each one of these. So the first cluster is right here, and then we're going to yarn over again, and we're going to go into that chain 1 space and yarn over one more time and go into the top of this cluster. Okay, and then we have 4 loops on the hook, and you pull through all 4. Okay, now we chain 1. Now this one is a really big increase because not only are we doing a bunch of extra stitches, we're adding chains in here too. Now the first 2 stitches we actually are doing in the top of the double crochets that we did on the previous row, but then we're going to do a V-stitch here. But these chain 1 spaces in between are what our true increases are here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to chain 1, then we're going to double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, then we're going to do that V-stitch like we did on the first row with the chain 1 in between. Then we're going to do chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, which is somewhat similar to what we did below, except we didn't have all these double crochets here to do it in. Alright, so I'm starting over here with the chain 1. So I chain 1, then I'm going to double crochet in the next double crochet, which is right here. If you can see it, there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. So this is the first one. Then I'm going to chain 1 and double crochet into the next double crochet, which is right there. Then I'm going to chain 1. Okay, so we've done 2. You see the first 2. Now we're going to do that V-stitch with the chain stitch in the middle. So I've already done my chain 1, so now I'm going to double crochet, chain 1, and I'm going to double crochet in the same stitch to form that V-stitch. Alright, now we chain 1, double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the next double crochet. So chain 1, double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, oops, I was going to do triple there, and double crochet in the next one. So you can see how it does do it. It is an increase because you're spreading it out over across the top of these 5 stitches. Alright, so now we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do a DC7 together. So first let me chain 1. Now this DC7 together is done across the next 7 stitches. Each stitch is a little different. First you do it on the top of the cluster, then you do the chain 1, then the next cluster, then the top of the double crochet 2 together, then the next cluster, then the chain 1, and then the next cluster. So it's done just the same way as you do all the double crochet decreased stitches, but we just need to pay attention to what stitches we're doing it across. So we yarn over. First stitch we do in is the top of the cluster, which is right here. There's the first half, yarn over, then we do it in that space in between those two clusters. Then we yarn over, do it in the top of the next cluster. Yep. Try not to get too much stuff up there with it. Yarn over, do it into the top of the double crochet two together, which is right here. And we yarn over, do it in the top of the next cluster. Yarn over, and then the next chain one space. Yarn over and do it in the top of the last cluster here. Okay, now we should have 8 loops on the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now yarn over, pull through all 8 loops rather. And there we formed double crochet 7 together. All right, so now we're moving on. We do a chain one. All right, now we're going to back and do this increase of the double crochets with the chain spaces in between and the V-stitch in the middle here, all across these 5 double crochets on the previous row. So I did my chain one. Now I'm going to do double crochet in the next double crochet, chain one, double crochet in the next double crochet, chain one, then I start the V-stitch, double crochet in the next double crochet, chain one, oops, and then I'm going to double crochet back in the same stitch to form that V-stitch, and I'm going to chain one, double crochet in the next double crochet, chain one, and double crochet into the last double crochet of that 5 crochet double crochet increase. Okay? Alright, so now we're over here. We're going to chain one again, and then we're going to do a DC4 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to do it across the cluster, chain one space, cluster, and the top of the double crochet 2 together. Okay, so here's the cluster, and the chain one space, and the next cluster, and the top of the double crochet 2 together. So this is a DC4, so we should have 5 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull through all 5 loops. DC4 together.